USD prices in banks have decreased, but the free market remains at a high level. On the morning of May 14, the central exchange rate between VND and USD announced by the State Bank continued to be maintained at 24,973 VND as yesterday. The USD price in commercial banks turned down, such as Vietcombank decreased by 10 VND, bringing the transfer buying price down to 25,780 VND, selling price to 26,140 VND. ACB also decreased by 10 VND when buying transfer price to 25,780 VND, selling price to 26,130 VND. The free USD price remained unchanged at 26,460 VND for buying and 26,570 VND for selling. The world USD price turned to decrease. The USD index fell to 100.95 points, 0.72 points lower than yesterday. The greenback fell after the U.S. inflation data cooled down more than expected. The U.S. Department of Labor's Bureau of Labor Statistics said that the U.S. Consumer Price Index, CPI, in April increased by 2.3% compared to the same period last year. This level is lower than March, 2.4%, and also lower than the forecast of 2.4% increase from economists in the Dow Jones poll. Excluding food and energy, the core CPI in April increased by 0.2% compared to the previous month, and also lower than the forecast of 0.3% increase from economists. The 12-month inflation rate fell from the previous month, along with progress in tariff negotiations between the U.S. and several countries, especially with the U.S., making investors less worried. But some analysts are still worried that President Donald Trump's tariff war will complicate the inflation picture between now and the summer. Leading forecasting organizations currently have different views on the U.S. economy. For example, Goldman Sachs has raised the probability of a U.S. recession in the next 12 months to 45%, while Apollo Global Management even puts the figure at 90%. However, some experts say the risk of recession is not yet imminent. The reason is that the U.S. economy still has a high rate of home ownership, is the world's largest service economy, and is less dependent on manufacturing, a sector directly affected by tariffs.